Internal crisis within the People's Democratic Party has intensified as power tussles between National Chairman Umar Damagum and National Secretary Samuel Anyanwu spill across 4 states: Akwa Ibom, Plateau State, Cross River State, and Kebbi State. At the heart of the crisis lies a struggle for legitimacy within the National Working Committee, with both leaders issuing contradictory directives on the conduct of state congresses and the dissolution of state executives. The situation has created uncertainty across party chapters, leaving state officials and INEC unsure whose authority to recognize. In Akwa Ibom, the Damagum-led National Working Committee announced the dissolution of the State Working Committee and the appointment of a caretaker body led by Umar. But Anyanwu countered the move, insisting that no valid National Working Committee meeting authorized such action and declaring the decision null and void. Similar confusion has erupted in Plateau, Cross River, and Kebbi states, where rival letters from the 2 camps either postponed or affirmed scheduled congresses. The conflicting instructions have divided party members and further exposed cracks in the PDP's national command structure. Chief among the issues fueling the rift is the interpretation of the PDP constitution. Damagum's camp argues that the National Working Committee possesses constitutional authority to reorganize state chapters and issue binding resolutions, while Anyanwu's faction insists that no action is valid without his co-signature or a properly confirmed NWC meeting. As a result, what should be administrative processes, such as appointing caretaker committees or approving Congress dates, have turned into legal and political battlegrounds. Party insiders warn that these conflicts, if unresolved, could undermine preparations for the 2027 elections. Across the affected states, the crisis is breeding frustration among members and weakening the opposition's unity. Elders within the party are reportedly pushing for reconciliation, urging both camps to avoid further public confrontation. Yet, the stakes remain high. Whichever faction ultimately defines legitimacy within the PDP may determine its direction ahead of 2027. Until then, the party's framed Wadata Plaza headquarters remain a symbol of not of strength, but of competing authorities locked in constitutional siege. Okay, Chukwu Edenko, what is your take on the PDP crisis?
Well, my Bible tells me in the book of Amos chapter 3 verse 3, say, can 2 walk together except they be agreed? So there must be a point of agreement and alignment. If not, what happened in 2023 might be like a child's play to what will happen in 2027. People need to come down from their high horses. Party is not a trade union. Party is not a professional body. Party is an all-comers affair where all shades of interests and opinions are articulated and aggregated. You cannot undermine one person and think that it will go down well. It has a boomerang effect, especially when 2 opposing contending forces are at war of equal strength. The effects are always devastating. So if PDP want to put up a strong performance in 2027, they should close ranks. People need to make sacrifices. People need to come down from their high horses. People need to let go certain egos and primordial sentiments if the party must come back to what it used to be in the past. Otherwise, PDP might not even come 4th position in 2027 election. I stand to be corrected, and I can tell you free that the party, with this infighting, we are heading for a doom. And it should be very disheartening that it's happening in this time where PDP is supposed to serve as a viable opposition and constructive one. But they have not lived up to their expectation because of internal crisis which they have been contending with right from 2023 till date. People need to let go. You don't undermine certain offices. Yes, you are the chairman, we know. You are the head, but the head needs the neck to function. If you say you are the head and the neck is bad, the head cannot be properly positioned. So they need to close ranks. And I know all these are geared towards the convention, which has been slated for Ibadan.
Do you see that convention holding?
I don't know.
At this point in time?
I don't know.
Do you see that convention holding? Because, I mean, notice of meetings. Yes, the national chairman presides over party meetings. However, notice of meetings must be written and done by the national secretary.
And there's also a clause in PDP's constitution, which I think they say the chairman can delegate functions to the assistant secretary.
There is also, in the same constitution, it says that this deputy secretary, not the deputy secretary, can act in the absence of the national secretary.
Well, in this
so
case,
if the national secretary is on ground and has not transferred powers to the deputy secretary, the deputy secretary cannot issue notice of meeting.
Of course.
And the PDP constitution clearly states that the national secretary, not the deputy secretary, not the deputy national secretary, issues notices of meetings. So if we are to look at it, the national secretary is his responsibility. Now, in the absence of the national secretary, if he has delegated such responsibility to the deputy national secretary, that's when the issue of notice can be done by the deputy national secretary.
I know.
But we have an acting national, a national secretary, substantive national secretary. And one is saying that, the constitution is saying that the chairman can delegate responsibilities to the deputy national secretary. Probably, one would say the responsibilities that are not covered by the office of the national secretary. The national chairman, for example, can form an ad hoc or standing committee and make the deputy national secretary chairman of that committee. Is it not delegation of responsibility? But now telling the national deputy secretary to do the functions of the national secretary when he's still effective in office.
That's
how is that going to work?
Like I said, if this is not checked and they don't reconcile, they will score a political own goal.
Now, the problem here is when you look at these two offices, genuinely, the secretary of an association, a political party, I mean, there are certain associations or unions where the secretary is not as powerful as the chairman. But there are also certain associations, unions, and parties where you see the secretary has great powers.
It's the engine room of every organization.
Exactly. Now, how can the national chairman write a letter and sign without the national secretary co-signing? Is it in the place of the national chairman to write letters, memos, and all of that, or is it in the place of the national secretary?
It's the place of the national secretary. That's why I said initially that people need to come down from high horses. People need to let go of certain egos and primordial sentiments if PDP will move forward. Otherwise, if they continue like this, I can tell you for free that 2027 will be worse than 2023 in terms of performance at the elections.
2027 will be worse than 2023
in terms of...
Because of... Now, one would say before the 2027, of course, there has to be national working, there has to be this General Congress, elective General Congress that will have to hold for elections to be done, right? Now, when one is looking at all these things, interestingly, well, one would say to a large extent, PDP crisis is an interesting one because at the end of the day, it's trickling down to the states, it's trickling down to Cross River states, trickling down. Now, what it means by the position these people have taken is that there is factional leadership across board in these states.
Of course.
That's what's going on.
It's clear.
There's factional leadership. Clear. Just like what is obtainable in Edo State. That was why I asked you, who will be recognized by the national?
Hopefully, they may recognize if the trend continues like this and is not nipped in the bud, they may recognize a faction of Obaseki, which might be like the last straw that broke the camel's back, and it will definitely kill the soul of the party in Edo State. Because any decision that the national takes will definitely affect the fortunes of the party at the state and local government level.
Okay.
Party is all about people.
Now, to a large extent, people will end up... Now, with what is going on, there might be more defections, mass defections in the coming months.
Of course, and you know, I tell people, defection is even better than people staying in the party and working against the interests of the party. That's what I tag as political own goal.
Please repeat that again.
Political own goal. You know, in a game of football, you can score a goal against yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is more like a political own goal. You are in the party, still carrying the card of the party, and in the election, you are working against the interests of the party based on instructions from above.
All right. Now, let us look at some of the constitutional issues that PDP, the arguments that are going back and forth with regards to legitimacy and whose action holds sway and whose action does not hold sway. Now, Article 41, subsection 1, Article 47, subsection 1 says that the term of office of every organ of the party shall be clearly defined, and any attempt to dissolve or truncate the term of any organ before the expiration of its tenure shall be subject to constitutional procedure. I mean, this is PDP constitution. Now, you know that one of the crises, again, was dissolving of state executives. And there are arguments of the procedures that have been embarked on, while these other people are saying, oh, the chairman has the right to do that.
It's illegal, and it's based on ego.
Based on ego?
Yes, and it's trying to be egocentric.
Now, reading further, I said, those opposed to recent dissolutions argue that this provision means no state working committee can be removed or replaced by a caretaker body unless the prescribed constitutional steps, including formal NWC resolution and NEC ratification, I did not mention that, are strictly followed. He now said, the question of who has the authority to initiate or certify such steps is itself is contested. Section 35, subsection A1 vests the National Working Committee with the power to organize the activities of the party and ensure the implementation of the decisions of the NEC.
PDP is heading for a disaster. And if this is not checked, whatever happens at the end of the day is self-inflicted.
All right. Now, supporters of Damagum, they are relying on this clause that I've read to say that the NWC's decisions, such as the postponement of congresses or appointment of interim committees, are binding once adopted by majority. Now, the question is once adopted by majority. The majority in this instance now, is it which majority? Is it not the NEC?
In a meeting.
It is the NEC that will ratify the decision of the CWC. So have they held the NEC meeting to that effect?
No.
All right. Now, other critics also counter the Constitution and also sets procedural requirements for such decisions to be valid. One of the arguments they are proposing is that Section 36, subsection 2, which you mentioned earlier, states that the Deputy National Secretary shall act as National Secretary whenever so directed. The question now is, whenever so directed by who?
And how or why?
Not so directed by the national chairman. It is the national secretary that delegates responsibility to his assistant or his deputy. Can we not turn the Constitution upside down?
No.
So when they say the deputy national secretary shall act as national secretary whenever so directed. Now, the Constitution says again in the responsibilities of the Deputy National Secretary, he will act in the absence of the national secretary.
Secretary.
Now, national secretary, when not around, will transfer power to the deputy. So you cannot have a substantive national secretary who is still active, and one will say that, oh, the national chairman suddenly woke up and decided to delegate responsibility to the deputy. I mean, well.
You know, what's happening in PDP now is likened to what's happening in a game of football, where in a team, because I don't like you, I don't like your face, I might not want to pass the ball to you. It will definitely affect the overall performance of the team, and that's what will happen to PDP. Because certain centrifugal forces within the party does not like Anyanwu for reasons best known to them. So they think fighting Anyanwu is more like fighting that person. But they forget that the soul of the party matters most than any other personal interest. Not just the decision, but the soul of the party.
Now, the interesting thing is this even consolidates. Well, it says this one that I just quoted, that the Deputy National Secretary shall act as National Secretary whenever so directed. You know, it's often cited by Anyanwu's camp to suggest that unless the National Secretary or someone formally designated through proper procedure authenticates a directive, actions like caretaker appointments or Congress postponements lack constitutional standing. This is why Anyanwu continues to argue that decisions announced without his co-signature or without a properly convened NWC meeting are null and void. Now, if this is the case, it's saying that even for the Deputy National Secretary to even act, it has to follow proper procedure. So, with what procedure? You recall that when Senator Samuel Anyanwu, was about to go for elections, run elections in Imo State, he wrote a letter. I have a copy of that letter. Okay. He officially wrote a letter to the party, seeking leave of absence. Yes. And in that letter, he also asked that his deputy act in his absence, in his place. And when he was done, he came back. And even though the PDP Southeast Caucus were saying that they dominated, they on the ground of his resignation, he said, I never resigned. I only took leave of absence. Now, there was a procedure that Samuel Anyanwu took, writing to the party, and in that letter, stating reason for absence, took leave of absence, followed due procedure, and also handed over power to his deputy. And now, suddenly, I'm trying to make it make sense how the deputy can suddenly start acting without, proper transfer of power from the national secretary to the deputy national secretary. I'm trying to make it make sense how the chairman can suddenly direct the deputy national secretary to act as national secretary when the substantive national secretary is still active.
That's part of the abnormality in the system, which I strongly believe will be counterproductive, and it will definitely have a devastating result and effect on the party if certain individual does not come down from their high horses. I believe the national chairman, or the acting national chairman, so to say, is working under the directive of certain individuals who doesn't like the face of the FCT minister. And like I said, parties and all comers affair.
It appears that PDP crisis, well, one would say, I don't know, PDP's crisis is, it has a lot of chapters. So you open this chapter. At some point when Atiku formed his coalition and then there was a merger with ADC, a lot of persons said with the defection of certain people from the PDP to ADC and Atiku now facing ADC, probably to a large extent there will be peace. But it appears that,
like I will tell you for free, the governors are the cause of the problem in PDP today.
The PDP governors?
The PDP governors forum.
How many are left?
They are arrogating so much power
to themselves,
which they don't have. They forget that the governors forum is more like a peer group. It's not even an organ of the party.
Well, one would say that the national president, the national chairman of the PDP, the national working committee of the PDP, if they allow that to happen, probably do not understand the implication of that. Because if PDP continues with this balkanization, you know, by 2026, even the PDP governors will leave PDP to look for a viable platform, because at the end of the day, they will want to either return as governors or, you know, install their anointed.
Can I tell you something now?
Yes.
Some governors are just one leg in, one leg out of PDP. Like in football, they say when someone has done medicals, they could be unveiled any day. A Southwestern governor has also done medicals. In APC, they are just waiting to unveil him. Enugu State governor is here, neither here nor there. So the people championing this crisis per se in PDP, they are the governors of Oyo State, Bauchi State. I don't know if it is.
Makinde.
Yes, that's Sheyi Makinde.
Sheyi Makinde, I think doesn't he have interest for presidency?
I don't know yet.
So he needs to own that platform in order to do what he wants to do.
People causing problem in PDP today. I don't know of the stand of Fintiri. I don't know if Fintiri is with them or with his friend.
All right. Interesting times ahead.